Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Yo! Above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond the illusion. I was soaring ever higher, but I flew too high. Though my eyes could see, I still was a blind man. Though my mind could think, I still was a madman. I hear the voices when I'm dreaming. I can hear them say, don't you cry no more. Masquerading as a man with the reason. My charade is the event of the season. And if I claim to be a wise man, it surely means that I don't know. On a stormy sea of moving emotion, toss the bottom like a ship on the ocean. I set a course for winds of fortune, but I hear the voices sigh. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
About the distance here to BUYMEACOFFEE. And by the way, it's not really a moral hazard, it's more like free riding on our grandkids. And by the way, it's not really a moral hazard, it's more like free riding on our grandkids.
I will not make any deals with you. I've resigned. I will not be pushed, filed, stamped, indexed, briefed, debriefed, or numbered. My life is my own.
And hello there. Right guys, hope you're all doing okay and everything else. Hope you all are having a lovely, lovely May the 6th. You know, today it's my cousin's birthday and all of that, despite she is ashamed of me because I speak out against the establishment while she works within the legal system. But anyway, if you're watching, cuz happy birthday to you and all that, despite your working within the establishment as well, killing people, but no matter. Anyway, see, guys, if I can call my own family out, I mean, but anyway. I mean, she's a lovely person and all that, but yeah, you know what I mean? But yep, she's one of these people that thinks geoengineering is not a thing. And if she saw that intro with David Keefe that's talking about riding on the futures of our grandchildren and all of that, you'd be going, oh, it is going on. Yep, because that's one of the physicists. I mean, what was that? How long ago was that video now? What, 12 years ago? Something like that? What, 12, 15 years ago, that video? But anyway, so yeah, guys, hope you're all doing okay and so forth. How many of you tomorrow are going to be going across, going, I must put an X in and vote for for my next person to be running this country, over us people, so we can have a slave master that you know, what I mean, make sure all our slaves stay on the plantation. I mean, even we're going to vote tomorrow, throughout Cymru, and throughout England and throughout Alabama and Ireland and all that and so forth. How many of you are going out to vote tomorrow? Because I fucking ain't, because I'm not stupid, because I don't vote for some wanker I mean, that later on and comes and punishes us, because I'm not an idiot. Anyway, I mean, a lot of you go around and go, oh, things are getting worse and all of that. And then you go ahead and you put other people above you. How about you be a you? Let's put you in front of you. Don't put, because if you put somebody else, I mean, to do things for you, especially when it comes to government, right? You know they're not going to do things for you. And I've said this on my Spreaker show, and I'm going to say it now before we get into this video I got lined up for us and all that, right? Oh no, what's going on here? What's going on? Good job it wasn't porn. Can you imagine that? I mean, in the background, like, I'm going to wait, these wankers, these pricks, in Parliament, not and in the background, and I'm like, oh shit. Good job, I don't do that. Anyway, so that would have been funny. This person is an absolute prick and all of that and so forth. And it's like Sam going, then again, that's David Cameron with a pig. Anyway, right, we'll move away from that, and let me just get this off. There you go. Because I've already got filters on through OBS, and I noticed the green light was on, just in case it's going. Yeah. And if you all can decode that, please send it in, and we have a dinner date. Anyway. So let's get down to it and see what these people are up to. I think they'll switch up round, and let me just check over here as well, because I've already got it lined up over here a bit as well. Because this is why I got two headphones. Sure, I can, because laptop isn't the best. Because I haven't, as you now know, I haven't got my desktop computer around at the moment. So we're doing what we can. We're just getting on a bit, as a true camera being will do. We just get on with it. And get on with it! Anyway, and so we will. Okay. So Right, let's see if I'm coming through. Yep, we're coming through.
The mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the 10 biggest failures in British politics.
We'll start that again. I will see if it's coming through. Yeah. Yeah, right, let's go.
I recognise, though, given the situation, I cannot deliver the mandate on which I was elected by the Conservative Party.
Welcome to
Can I pause it? Yeah, I can. Good. You know, she had a lot of stick. You know, I mean, not for the obvious reasons, but for the way she looks. That's some people were putting in the Twitter feeds and all of that. Her picture and the Bride of Chucky picture. Yeah, I spotted that. That was funny. I mean, I was like, on that day, I was like, I'm not gonna do no research today. I'm a little bit low today. I need cheering up, and I just thought, I know where to go. Jump on Twitter. So I jumped on Twitter, and you guys did not let me down. The amount of pictures that I saw of Liz Truss, right? And the Bride of Chucky and all of that. Oh my god. I was in stitches. But anyway, let's continue.
Watch Mojo UK, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the 10 biggest failures in British politics.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified.
I'm going to say the opposite, which will probably go against the grain of a lot of people. I don't think these politicians are failures. I know a lot of people, people be like from the Conservatives, Labour, Lib Dem, oh, they failed, all right. No, they did exactly what they were meant to do for their masters, not the public, for their masters, to get Britain into position for now the Great Reset to take over. But let's move away from that for now and just see the failures in its top 10.
About our latest videos.
For this list, we're looking at the most embarrassing and unpleasant failures to strike Westminster.
We made a pledge, we didn't stick to it, and for that I am sorry.
Let us know in the comments what you think of these issues. Number 10, Boris
He did
resigns.
stick to the pledge, but it wasn't the public pledge. Well, I'm saying on that one.
It is clearly now the will of the Parliamentary Conservative Party that there should be a new leader of that party and therefore a new Prime Minister.
His entire premiership was marred with scandal and failure, from his handling of the pandemic to his appointment of Chris Pincher. But his resignation was a failure not just for Johnson, but also for the Tory party itself, which has proceeded to eat itself alive since he left.
And the reason I have fought so hard in the last few days to continue to deliver that mandate in person was not just because I wanted to do so, but because I felt it was my job.
He lost control of Tory MPs so thoroughly that nearly 60 of them resigned over the course of 2 days, leaving him unable to command the authority of Commons.
And in the last few days I've...
So, what is he... Yeah, I mean, if he's just looking for a political view and just like, for now, the punter who just goes out to work, comes home and, I mean, pays the bills and maybe go to the pub or stay home, with the missus or wherever, so forth. And you haven't looked deep into what these characters actually do behind the scenes when the public are not looking. Well, they think the public are not looking, despite there is some of us that are looking. What he was there for, end of the day, it was to make sure. Don't forget, his dad wrote a book on the virus. You know what I mean? And all that. I've got that book here actually. And plus, other things, he was put into place because he's seen as a bumbling idiot, which he's not. He's far from a bumbling idiot. He's dangerous. I mean, he knew what he was doing, and he knew that the free dart system, let's say, was meant there to damage the immune system, and it's actually killed off a lot of people around the world. I mean, not the so-called virus, because there wasn't one, but the shots itself. And like Klaus Schwab has stated, that it changes you. It changes your DNA and all of that, and so forth. Once you take the shots and all that. So if it doesn't kill you, it changes you. I mean, and that's why we've seen in the courts recently about that people now who could have taken the shots, and it's not just the C19 shots; it's previous shots as well. Not just the C19, but there's been previous ones as well that have changed the DNA of people. And that's why in the legal system now they're saying people now are called transhuman. That's why we've seen, like, in the last now 5-6 years, people being called transhuman, all that and everything else, and trans woman and this and all that, because that's the elite saying we've changed your DNA from inside. So, and he knew, Trump knows, Trudeau knows, Dan Andrew knows, many of these people know. Even the leaders in the Middle East and Africa and China and all these other places, the leaders, countries don't represent us. We are meant to represent us. But anyway.
Try to persuade my colleagues that it would be eccentric to change governments when we're delivering so much.
What followed was a 2-month-long leadership election in which he refused to do anything to address the cost of living crisis, and then the disastrous installation of Liz Truss. Boris Johnson even threatened to return to Downing Street mere weeks after he left. Number 9. The Suez Crisis. The big failure of Anthony Eden's political career, the Suez Crisis saw Britain and France try to subtly back an Israeli invasion of Egypt, all to seize control of the Suez Canal, a vital trade route between the Mediterranean and Red Seas. Britain and France also joined the invasion.
And the thing is, because Britain and all backed Israel, the world's paying for it today.
Until they got a stern telling off from the US, USSR, and the UN. Egypt maintained control of the Suez Canal, and Britain and France were left with egg on their faces, both becoming laughingstocks internationally after being warned time and time again not to invade Egypt. Anthony Eden resigned in disgrace. Number 8. ASBOs.
Back then, it was seen as a way of nipping in the bud those.
But we know, by looking at the Greater Israel thing, that part of Egypt, Syria, and I think Iran is part of that Greater Israel, if I remember correctly. So it's the Masons, the Zionists, ideology plan to make sure that they have a foothold, an empire within there, and Israel was that falsehood to actually start an outpost there, put it that way, to start something bigger. So when I hear people in this country, in Britain and all of that, saying, "Oh, look at these Muslims coming, look at all these Middle Easterns and all that," I'm like, have you seen what's really going on? Have you actually looked to what's really going on? If we've got an outpost out there that is, harming children, women, and all of that, and Hamas is, what's the phrase that I'm looking for? Is controlled opposition for Israel. So in other words, you'll have somebody that will fire like fertilizer into Israel. There's no damage. Then Israel and go, "Oh, look, they fired a rocket and all that," because Hamas is working for Israel. And then all of a sudden, people, the children and the women and the innocent people, the innocent men, women, children, get absolutely annihilated because of controlled opposition for Israel. To create a greater Israel. So I mean, we've seen it throughout the centuries. I mean, where control opposition is used to gain a foothold. Nothing new. I mean, but it needs to be stopped.
Small-scale crimes committed on estates like this one.
One of Tony Blair's pledges as Prime Minister was that he was going to be tough on crime, and one of the biggest things he gave to Britain's justice system was the humble ASBO, Antisocial Behaviour Order. But did the ASBOs work? Well, by most analysis, no.
Big issues here: vandalism, drugs, late-night drinking and fighting.
By the time the coalition took over Whitehall, they decided they were going to ditch the ASBOs entirely, because they were a nightmare to enforce and the order conditions were constantly violated.
Those at the sharp end of reducing antisocial behaviour have doubts about the new government reforms.
They were expensive, time-consuming, and ultimately accomplished little. And while they could be given out for worthier crimes like vandalism, you could also get landed with an ASBO for simple rudeness. Number 7. The Brexit referendum.
They didn't fail. You know what I mean, what it did, it was a testing ground to see if the public would stand up to it. You know what I mean? And what I got to laugh is, what a person that's supposed to be tough on crime became one of the biggest war criminals going. But anyway, we won't go down that route, will we? 2003 Iraq. Anyway, but the thing is this, right? I mean, he came in to you know, I mean, like our politicians, you know, before the next one comes in, they get the country more and more in a way so it lines up with the I'm going to say it. I mean, the New World Order. It's in place. All they're doing is just putting in the plumbing now, the electricity. The framework's in. The framework's there. I mean, all these that are doing now is just putting in the wiring, putting in the plumbing and all of that. I mean, putting in the final screws and all that, which we are seeing now with the Great Reset, which we are seeing with the finishing touches of the Transatlantic Agreement, TTIP, which many people are not reporting on still. Have you noticed that? But it's still there. There was a document on the TTIP just in the last year or two. I mean, there's been an update on it. But how many people are still speaking on that now? You know what I mean? So, and we've got the social credit system and all of that. You know what I mean? So when Tony Blair brought in the ASBO and all of that, it was the government's way of saying, what if we brought this in? You know what I mean? And if he said certain words, it was to see how much they could get away with on silencing you. Silencing me and you for speaking the truth and everything else. You know what I mean? That's what that was. And we noticed where we've seen more and more people in the police trying to tell people to shut the fuck up if you're speaking the truth about certain things and all that, and you're speaking about certain agendas and all that they'll come and arrest you and all that, because they think, just go along where the government says. No, the government are going on killing children, people and all that and so forth, and those also in the police are going on killing people and all that. No, we're going to speak out and say it for what it flipping is. Because if you say, my granddaddy fought for freedoms and all of that, then basically you are going to have to put up with people calling your ass out despite you wearing a uniform or not. And the thing is, a lot of people in uniforms / military are starting to realize they are only doing going into these countries for the corporations and all of that now. And we've seen now over the years, especially in the last 7 to 8 years, many now are throwing their medals back because they thought they were going in to protect their family and children and all of that. You know, their loved ones, their wives, you know what I mean, their husbands, their aunties or whatever, because now we've got females as well as males. Sorry. And so basically they thought they were going in to protect the people back home. I mean, when they get to these other countries, like, oh, it's not what we were told. And that's why they've started throwing back the medals and all that now and said, hey, no. I mean, what we are doing is destroying people in our country's lives, as well as, bringing blowback back home to our families and all of that. And now what we've seen by us, let's say UK or America, then the militaries then go into like the Middle East now. By the time they get back home, they've noticed their own countries have gotten worse, and it's become more tyrannical and more more surveillance. And with 5G and 6G now, brilliant tools, for spying on the public and all that on so many different levels. And it's not for better internet for the public; it's better, speeds for the state to keep track of the public. In case they latch on that the establishment is getting ready to take everything from the public, their jobs for one, their family, for another. Taking their rights away to own a home and all of that so forth. But anyway, let's keep going.
It was here in Sunderland, shortly after midnight, that the scale of the revolt against our EU membership started to become clear.
After 5 years of the coalition, David Cameron wanted to get a proper Tory majority in 2015. One way he accomplished this was by promising Britain's far right and UKIP a referendum on the UK's membership of the European Union.
The British people have voted to leave the European Union, and their will must be respected.
Cameron himself was a Remainer and clearly thought the referendum would come out in his favour, making it a risk-free option to court UKIP's voter base. However, as we all know, this isn't what happened.
But I do not think it would be right for me to try to be the captain that steers our country to its next destination.
Leave won, and Cameron immediately resigned, leaving it to his successor, Theresa May, also a Remainer.
Admiralty. Yeah, no, is that he was speaking in Admiralty law and all of that right there and so forth. But also, there's still many people thinking, Brexit, to stay or to leave vote was genuine. No, it wasn't. Despite we had many people, voting to leave and all of that. It didn't matter if you voted leave or stay. The overall plan, end of the day, was going to be the Great Reset. The overall plan was going to be the Great Reset, the social credit system, and everything else. It didn't matter if you voted to leave or stay, because as we now see around the world right now, since the C-19 and everything else, we've still got a one world agendas being rolled out for every country, and the status quo, the establishments and the technocratic companies and all of that, like Harari said, free will, that is over. Remember, he said that free will, that is over. Your independence, all of that, gone. A lot of people go, well, but I voted for breakfast. Grow the fuck up. They were just testing to see where people are at. It's not like you get to a survey. That's all that was. Brexit was just a survey. You weren't going to leave, at all. It was just to see how many people still want their independence. How many people are still thinking for themselves. How many people, want to get away from a monolith. At the end of the day, Britain will always be part of Europe on a land structure level. You know what I mean? On a corporation level, yeah, we can tell the EU to go fuck itself all day long. You know what I mean? Why not? But the thing is, we've got to, got to be the people that are informed on so many levels. We got to make sure we know what these politicians are really up to. But unfortunately, they have gotten people to the point of brainwashed where you bring up stuff that goes against whatever the government says and so forth, and if it doesn't fit your political party, what do most people do? You're a tinfoiler, you're conspiracy theorist, you're this, that. What conspiracy you got about the government today? Those are, listen to yourself, those are all little defenses in your mind for you not to go deeper or not to go and look at what's really going on. Because if we went to had a look, people like this would have been thrown in prison. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be marching off going, I'll pass, you're on to somebody else after the crimes I've done. You know what I mean? No. And it's funny thing how if we speak up against the authorities, we get arrested. You've noticed that? authorities can go around, murder people, kill people, rape people, burn children alive, and all that and so forth. They get a pay rise through taxes. But yet we just say, "Hey, stop killing." I mean, you're in prison. So yeah. I mean, these have done so many criminal things. The Brexit was just to see, I mean, who's awake and who's not. That's all that was. You know what I mean, but if you were truly awake, you wouldn't have voted at all. Because I didn't vote at all. Because I mean, myself and a lot of others spotted the bullshit of it all, and we tried warning others about it. But anyway.
To negotiate a Brexit deal, something she wasn't particularly good at. Number 6. The expenses scandal. In 2009, it came out that MPs from both sides of the House had been claiming for things on their expenses that they definitely shouldn't have been.
When the Freedom of Information Act came in, when Tony Blair passed it, that offered a chance for the lid to be lifted on how MPs were really being paid.
As public servants, their salaries are paid by the taxpayer, as are their expenses. Some business-related expenses are normal, but it was found that many MPs were taking the piss.
We had every MP's private address, bank details, we had everything. We were literally inside their private lives.
MPs who owned more than 2 homes would often change their second home designation to continue to claim back mortgages and repairs.
So we started with the Cabinet. Of course, Gordon Brown was Prime Minister, he was on the front page. Then we went through the Cabinet on the inside of the pages.
As well as that, some of the other alleged expenses that came out included John Prescott claiming to have wooden beams added to his home, multiple Tories claiming for swimming pool maintenance, and Douglas Hogg claiming to have his moat cleaned. Number 5. Tuition fees.
But I also meet people who are disappointed.
Things, guys. I want to talk about that. You know what I mean, when that first came out and all that, and everybody's going, "Oh, look at these politicians and all that and so forth." I went a different route of it, guys. You know what I mean? What year did that come out as well? I think that was about the same time as the Lisbon Treaty, if I remember correctly. You know, when that around like 2000 or 2009, something like that. Hold on, let me just check the expenses thing. Because I know a lot of people were like arguing about that, but I think that was just to get people talking about that while something else was going on. And don't forget, a lot of the money has been going towards places like Israel and stuff like that. And expenses scandal. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, it was 2009. Scandal emerged in 2009. Yep. Hey guys, I know my stuff. I had to make sure. I was like, yeah, that was 2009. Lisbon Treaty for Britain. Treaty with Gordon Brown. That was Gordon Brown. You know, my family's so thick, right? Bloody hell. Treaty, yeah, 2009. 2005, Gordon Brown. Yeah. So we had Brown blatantly signs the EU treaty home 13th of December. Brown signs the reform treaty. Interesting, reform treaty. And haven't we got the Reform Party right now? I mean, all of that. And then Define Brown commits Britain to the EU treaty, UK News, between 2007 to 2009. Yeah, I thought I remember that, yeah. So while everybody else was too busy looking at the scandals and all of that and so forth, Brown was pushing through the Lisbon Treaty, which then brought about guilty until proven innocent and all that, which we've seen a lot of police doing. Swansea police are the same, doing guilty until proven innocent and everything else and so on, which is then a good way of taking money from you to the point you have no money left, putting you on homeless. So the authorities and the establishment and all of them are deliberately creating homelessness in this country and all that. So and that's why when you see the expense thing talk about homes, there's porn. Remember that one of the politicians spent like £20 on a DVD for porn. Anyway, and the guy can go online and I mean, and he could use like a downloaded software and got it for free. Idiot. Don't do porn, no, by the way, guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, unless you want to feel dirty, you know. But then again, become a politician. Like half of these, you know, like these have become so dirty and all that. Porn looks clean compared to them. But so, but yeah. So the expenses thing and all that, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it was just to take the heat away from what got rolled out. You know, I mean, changing the legal system and everything else and so forth. Well, everybody else is going, oh, look at these, look at these, I was spending all this for second homes and all that. If you've earned and you bought that home, then those 2 homes should be yours, or 3 homes, 4 homes and all that. And then if you want to rent them out and all that, then thing. But also, if you have rented out the homes, don't be a dick landlord as well. You know what I mean? So those people in there may know a lot more about the system than you and the politicians put together as well. You know what I mean? If someone's like warning you, hey, yeah, I mean, you got the Zionists and all of that, you know what I mean, doing certain things, listen to them.
Pointed and angry that we couldn't keep all our promises.
Under Nick Clegg, the Lib Dems saw a surge in popularity in the 2010 election, and one of his biggest campaign promises...
You don't keep any of your promises to the public. You keep them all with the World Economic Forum, don't you?
...was that he'd abolish tuition fees. However, when he actually got into power as David Cameron's deputy PM, not only did he not abolish tuition fees, but he let the Tories raise them to £9,000.
We made a promise before the election that we would vote against any rise in fees under any circumstances. But that was a mistake.
He worked under the assumption that that was the maximum universities could charge, and they didn't need to charge that much. However, almost immediately, unis revised their fees and did, by and large, decide to charge the maximum amount possible.
You know, just last week, a report from the London School of Economics says Britain's poorest families have suffered most under the coalition. So did you lose the fight for fairness in coalition?
The Lib Dems' reputation still hasn't recovered, and for years, students have been plunged into massive amounts of debt. Number 4, the Rwanda programme.
Those who travel to the UK by illegal and dangerous routes, including by small boats across the...
Guys, government isn't there to help you. It's not to help you to get on in life and do well in that. No, governments ain't there for that. Governments are, as I've noticed, and many others I've spoken to over the years, you know, from the geopolitical world as well from the science world and much more, we've all have noticed that governments are only there to harm you, and yet people keep voting for them. Think about it. Keep voting for these people. These people are only there for themselves, which previous generations have said before me and all of that. And yet, why do you keep voting them in? Why? They're not going to do things for you. You know what I mean? Think of it. I mean, I've noticed by going out and showing people what's really going on, they don't listen to, you know, the public don't listen to the public. And then you're going to expect somebody in the government to listen to the public when the public don't listen to other members of the public of what's really going on. But yet, people of the public are willing to allow governments to lie to you. There's no saying. You get the governments you deserve. So in other words, if you're not going to listen to your fellow neighbour and friends and all about what's really going on, then why should the fucking stranger people in Parliament listen to you? If you're not going to care what's really going on, when someone comes up to you, hey, look at this is what's going on, and so, and they show you the documentations, they show you the videos and all that, and you don't give a shit, then you're going to vote for somebody who doesn't give a shit about you. When you think about it. So you deserve the government you get. I mean, I don't vote because I think they're slave masters, so I go around exposing them through posters and everything, and I speak out. I mean, all that. But anyway, but you lot will just go all right, every 2 years. Yeah, I mean, because I mean, yeah, we get a general election, but we also got local elections. So every 2 years, there's a general. Sorry, there's When I say general election, guys, I don't mean the general election every 4 years. I mean, you vote in generally to the elections. So every 2 years, there's a general election. The people go off, they put the elections in, you know what I mean? Because if they're not getting fucked by anybody, you know, in their local lives, so they probably think I'm gonna get fucked by a politician. Anyway, yeah, I mean, but the only thing it's missing from, you know, going out to vote and all of that, that when you lot go and vote, you don't get a tub of Vaseline, do you? But anyway, so, but yeah, I mean, they deliberately put people in debt because at the end of the day, right, the bank cartels what's lending the money to the government, and then for that money to go through the whole system and all of that, and so on. So the bank cartels are not going to let go of people who they put into debt. So politicians will always try and put people into debt. And one of those ways of doing that is getting people who go to university, put themselves so much time and effort while the courses cost them so much that puts them into debt. They spend their whole lives then paying back slowly. And then it's either paying back through the universities, then through the government, back into the banks, or whatever sort of thing. There's always, it looks like, for argument's sake, you got the bank here, then all these different roads, you got the government up here, and you got all these different roads and all that. So all the money through schools, colleges, you know, cafes or whatever, all the way back to the bank, because the taxes is mainly paying the banks off. But anyway, you know, it's paying one of the banking cartels off. Well, so yeah.
Channel may be relocated to Rwanda, where they will have their asylum claims considered.
In 2022, Boris Johnson and Priti Patel,
fucking Rwanda. But anyway,
still Home Secretary at the time, revealed a plan that rather than let the UK's asylum seekers apply for asylum here, they were going to deport them to Rwanda.
But the government wants to stop people reaching the UK illegally, and the plan to fly some arrivals 4,000 miles to Rwanda.
Take the royal family out because of the amount of damage they've done, you know, locally and around the world. We won't send them to Africa. Actually, Africa, would you like to take the royal family and have your just desserts at them? Africa, would you like to have your hands on the royal family for the damage they've done over the years? You know what I mean? Are you Africans out there? Yeah. Because I don't like the royals. You surely probably don't like the royals. You know what I mean? A gift? Anyway.
Is part of that.
The first scheduled flight of the Rwanda programme in summer was blocked by the European Court of Human Rights, not to mention facing opposition from the UN. Not only is it widely viewed as completely inhumane amongst the British public, but it's also not cheap.
I do not support the removal to Rwanda policy on the grounds of legality, practicality and ethics.
Part of the PDF club, Pi, remember? And so forth. Doesn't she look like Scorch's grandma? Remember Scorch the Dragon? Yeah, that's Scorch's grandma right there.
The UK pledged to pay £120 million to Rwanda up front, and then also stump up as much as £30,000 for every person sent there. The government has also been unable to find willing airlines to do the job. Number 3. Prevent.
From my experience, I feel that the prevent strategy can push people toward radicalisation instead of pushing them away from it.
Set up in 2003, the Prevent programme has long been touted as one of the UK's best weapons against terrorism. But over the years, many inquiries...
Then why do we still have the UK government and royal family in Britain? Hey! That was a home run. I mean, that was an own goal by them, but that was a home run by me. I mean, if you can set up prevent terrorism and all of that, then why do we still have government MI6 and all of that and so forth? Just saying. When they actually cover up the pedo stuff.
These and reports have found that prevent just doesn't work.
I think the prevent strategy is state Islamophobia. Nothing short of that.
Many perpetrators have...
What did I see there? Go back a bit.
Arrivals 4,000 miles to Rwanda is part of that.
The first scheduled flight of the Rwanda programme in summer was blocked by the European Court of Human Rights, not to mention facing opposition from the UN. Not only is it widely viewed as completely inhumane amongst the British public, but it's also not cheap.
I do not support the removal to Rwanda policy on the grounds of legality, practicality and efficacy.
The UK pledged to pay £120 million to Rwanda up front, and then also stump up as much as £30,000 for every person sent there. The government has also been unable to find willing airlines to do the job. Number 3. Prevent.
From my experience, I feel that the prevent strategy can push people towards radicalisation instead of pushing them away from it.
Set up in 2003, the Prevent programme has long been touted as one of the UK's best weapons against terrorism. But over the years, many inquiries and reports have found that...
Interesting. That nudge technique, that little thing. They said terrorism and all of that and so forth, everything, and they put in Palestine. So they just mentioned terrorism. Now they got a picture there saying Palestine and so forth. So that's going to get people saying the people in Palestine are terrorists, when actually it's actually the reverse. Because we know that the UK government is a Zionist's bitch, end of the day, and Zionism doesn't have to be about Israel or so forth, you know what I mean? Because Israel can fall down tomorrow and it'll be gone, you know what I mean? Because the people that were running that are actually from Poland, you know what I mean? Like Benjamin Netanyahu and his missus are not actually Israeli, they're actually Polish. And so when you then look at what's really going on and so forth, and even the Bible said, you know what I mean, Israel will not be created until Jesus comes back. So therefore, why is this Israel up and running? Think about it. This Israel shouldn't be there right now. So what we got there is Edomites and all of that and so forth. Not proper Jews. These are fakes. These are liars. These are synagogue of Satan, which even Jesus talks about, and he calls out the false ones in the Bible, and he warns us all. When you see those that say that they're Jews but are not Jews, we are supposed to call them out. And these that are in the Israel that is there today are not the real Jews that Jesus talks about. I mean, these are not the ones that the land was promised to and all that. So if these stop being dicks and stop going around under the IDF and all that and killing children in Gaza and all that, killing women, all that. Because you got a lot of people, they're like, oh, October 7th, 2023, how are these Palestinian Syrians start this war? They did not start it. Europe, with America and that, put an outpost there. Israel. When you put an outpost somewhere, and so forth, they sent people out there, which that part of the world, Palestine already had people there. But they already had other places ready for, these so-called Jews go to. There was other places that they could have gone without this conflict ever beginning. But no, because there's oil there, because there's so many other things there that was value for, the establishment, the Masons, as well as much more. Yeah. It was like once you've got that little wedge between the door and then open it right up. And now the same thing's happening in Lebanon and other places now, where the Zionists are just taking over. You know what I mean? And we need to stop that, because it's also the Christian Zionists that almost wiped out the Brittonic language and all that. You know what I mean? Almost wiped out Cymraeg and other things as well. But we fought back. That's why the Cymru, the people of Cymru, all of that, are always attacked because we got a lot of people. I mean, not today's England, but long ago, throughout the whole of Britain, got pushed back into Wales and so on, and that's why that's why they keep asking, do you know what it is to be British? Because they are trying to cover up what it is to be a true person of this land. Because a lot of stuff in England and all that is actually a lot of outside invaders' blood. Why do you think the word Wales means foreigner? You know what I mean? If you're from this place, you don't call yourself foreigner, do you? That's why I said to somebody the other day, I mean, don't call me Wales, and Welsh and all that. Call me Cymro. Stuff like that. They're like, what? They would stand. I was like, yeah. Call me, I mean, because Cymru, you know what I mean? Fellow countrymen. I'm of this land. So, anyway. I mean, I'm part of it, though, you know what I mean? But in the Bible, it says to be part of and all that, you know what I mean? But the materials, the DNA and all that, the food and all that makes up the makeup and all that, then I'm of as well as part. But, yeah, so when it comes down to this, that, and so forth, when they're trying to put down the Palestine badge and trying to get in people's mind through the news, Palestine is terrorism. These little nudge techniques that they've done. But a lot of us, I mean, like Khaleesi, like Salaman, myself, and, many others have spoken out, and we've pushed so many things out there in the public eye, and to make sure the Palestinian voice gets heard. I mean, even Ilan Pape and many others. I mean, so, and Ilan Pape, if you don't know already, he's a Israeli historian, and he's seen a lot of things as well. So, and he's written many books. I think he says he's trying to write like 20 books or something like that, 20 to 24 books before he dies. I mean, and he's halfway there, I think, as well. I mean, I've got 2 of his books up in storage. I mean, the biggest like the biggest secret prison or the biggest prison on earth, and the ethnic cleansing of Palestine and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I was seeing that there, trying to get people to think, Palestine are terrorists. No, they're not the terrorists. They're the prisoners. Gaza, it's not like I can walk down the streets of Swansea and all that, and then come back home to go silent. No, Gaza is a prison. It's fenced around and so forth. It's a prison. You know what I mean, basically, like, I mean, for us in the West, think of like Swansea Prison or something like that, right? I mean, you got people in there. It's like its own little world. Then you're looking out, but you can't move or anything. You are controlled by the authorities. I mean, all of that and so forth. But without getting shot and bombed. But Gaza, you can move around and so forth and all of that. You know what I mean? But you only kept alive long enough for the IDF and the Israelis to come and shoot you for their daily pleasure. They could wipe the people of Gaza out in seconds. You know what I mean? But for over decades, they just had fun. Shooting them like a game of Call of Duty. But the opposition doesn't have weapons, so they just like at a cowboy shooting range, ping, 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 killing them. That's what's going on. Anyway, let's continue. I thought I spotted that Palestine badge thing. I mean, I had to bring it up.
Prevent just doesn't work.
I think the prevent strategy is state Islamophobia, nothing short of that.
Many perpetrators of extremist violence in the UK in recent years were known to prevent, while others were known to British authorities but weren't referred to prevent at all. As well as not stopping attacks, UK counter-terrorism has also been found to fuel division in Muslim communities and erode trust.
So the investigation was taking place purely on the fact that my name is Mohammed. I look the way I do and I'm Muslim, and that's the only thing that I can put it down to.
It's also been unprepared for other types of extremism, like violent operators from the far right. And finally, it's being criticised as an excuse to bring mass surveillance to the UK and not remotely fit for purpose.
It soon became clear that...
fit for purpose? Why is that bring up Common Purpose for mine? But anyway, there's a charity or group called Common Purpose. Check them out, and also Common Core. Right, evil bastards. Anyway, But what I find as well, I mean, these people behind the scenes, I mean, they are trying to make us all look at our skin color all the time. When I was growing up and so forth, I mean, I had Chinese friends. I mean, I had people, I mean, that were born here. Of course, their cultures came from elsewhere, and they were black, this, that, and everything else. You know what I mean? But us as kids growing up, we didn't see it. We were just children having fun and all of that. We were taught to see the color. Think of that. You get taught to see the color. And I'm like, when somebody said, "Oh, that person's black over there," I went, "And?" You know what I mean? And then I guess, "Yeah, but that's a black person." I went, "And?" And they said that person's a wog. I went, that's a word though, so. I mean, and then all of a sudden I went across, and you know what I mean, and I spoke. I said, "Why do people call you black?" I would say up front, like, because that's why I'm black. I went, "Oh, okay, that's fair enough." I went, "So you don't care I'm black?" I went, "No." They said, "Why do you bring it up?" I said, "Somebody brought it up to me. I mean, I didn't see color before." And then somebody did over. I just said, "You're black." And then I said, "Are you really black? What's black?" And then I mean, and they went, "I just figment of my skin and all that." And I went, "Okay, have a nice day." And he went, "Okay, you too." Walked off. But I mean, that's just me. You know what I mean, I to be honest, I do try to stay like a child mind and keep learning and so forth and all that. But I do think people are idiots. I mean, I mean, and I know a lot of people are gonna, I mean, might come after me for say it, but the word "nig," I mean, all that and so forth and everything else. I mean, it's just the word and all of that. If you're that petty and insecure and all of that on so many levels, and I've talked about it, I've done like a 3-hour show on, I mean, on this, and we just, I mean, letting our skin colors divide the world up. Because at the end of the day, when God comes back and so forth, when Jesus and all that comes down, he's not going to go, "You can't come in because you're white. You can't come in because you're Asian, but because you're this because your skin color is the same with Ethiopia, brown to black. So like, oh, come in." No, he's going to go, "Right, you've sinned. Fuck off. You haven't. Right, then you come. Right, you've learnt. Right, you've repented in. You haven't. Fuck off. You know what I mean? He's not gonna give a shit if you're black, white, Asian, or copper skinned or ever. He just wants to know, have you followed the commandments? And if you have, you're in. If you haven't, you're out. Plain and simple. Not gonna be like, oh, hey homie, I'm black, you're black, come in. No. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be like that. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. I mean, he's not gonna come in and go, "Oh, okay. So what have we been doing?" "Well, I've been watching EastEnders and also Supernatural and this and all that." "Oh, so you're watching white programs, have you?" Yeah. No, you can't come in. No. Or he goes up to I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, India and Pakistan, brown people, and he goes up to them, "Oh, homies, how's it going?" and all that. Because you're brown, and you come in. "Oh, but we've been blowing shit up." Wait, what? What you be doing? "Oh, we've been blowing shit up, and also in India they've got some scammers." "Oh, so is it true that you've been using computers and scamming the world and all of that?" Yeah. "You've been stealing, that's against one of the commandments. And you haven't repented or nothing. Straight to the fire of hell, down to Brisbane." So, yeah, so basically, put the skin color aside. Just follow the commandments, for fuck's sake. But anyway. Well, no, we've got off track a little bit, so let's get back on track.
was being used as a means of spying on people, and as a result of it, a lot of people stopped cooperating with it.
Number 2, the mini budget. Mere weeks after Liz Truss
we're not gonna listen to you, white man. anyway, carry on.
took over from Boris Johnson, the country was plunged into further chaos following Kwasi Kwarteng's announcement of the mini budget.
What I would say is we are facing very, very difficult economic times at the moment. That is why the government has acted.
The budget called for tens of billions of pounds of tax cuts, all funded by massive government borrowing, spooking the markets.
I don't agree with that statement because we are facing a difficult global economic situation.
The pound crashed to its lowest ever level, mortgage rates increased dramatically.
On purpose. Yep. Done on purpose to make everything cheap so the elites can buy it on the cheap while the public suffer. You know what I mean?
Pensions were threatened and even bankers were opposed.
I came into office at a time of great economic and international instability.
Despite a slew of U-turns and the sacking of Kwarteng, Truss too was forced to resign, staying in Downing Street for only 50 days in total, after it came out that her frontbenchers had been physically threatening people to get them to vote in favour of fracking.
I have therefore spoken to His Majesty the King to notify him.
On fracking. You know what I mean? Don't forget, guys, remember? You know what I mean? Back in, was it 2013 and stuff like that, 2012, 2013 and all of that, we had Ian Crank going around with the tour of Fractured Future, which many of us attended his talks and all that. I filmed one of them and everything else. And also you had the the frackeduk.org website as well that showed a lot of the Frackwell sites as well. So and people were like reporting like mini earthquakes and all that because of the fracking and also. Yeah, I mean, we need that to come back up as well, in other words, because I know that's still going, but we need that to. We need like a network where where we see the top 10 things that are still going on right now. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. With like then you have like these sublets in as well of information that the public can also go into if they want to know. Then these subcategories, you know, as well as the main stuff.
That I am resigning as leader of the Conservative Party.
Number 1, poll tax. The downfall of Thatcher's administration, poll tax was one of the biggest controversies any British government has had to face.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're leaving Downing Street for the last time after 11 and a half wonderful years.
A non-means tested additional tax was despised by the public as it saw people in all income brackets charged a flat rate to fund local authorities. It eventually reappeared as modern council tax, with properties taxed in accordance with how much they were worth, because Thatcher's original poll tax idea was so unpopular. 1990 saw many protests against it turn into riots, with so many attendees that some police forces said arresting them all would be impossible. Rather than U-turn, Thatcher resigned, and it was left to John Major to undo the damage.
The latest stage of a meteoric rise for John Major in national politics, raw backbencher to Prime Minister.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo UK and be sure to...
I talk about the poll tax quite a lot, you know what I mean, stuff like that when I was a kid and how much damage that did do, you know what I mean? But yeah, and the thing is as well, you know what I mean? That could have been like one of the early signs of them trying to get to where we're at now with the 50-minute cities. That could have been like the early testing grounds. Like, hey, you know what I mean? We're going to come after your homes and all that, and then the state controls how you live and all of that and so forth. Like, I don't know what the terminology is right now because my mind's blank, but so they're just like saying, hey, we're going to, we do this and all that, but because it had the word poll tax, you had the word tax in it. Of course, people are going to be like, and all that, because that automatically says you take in from us. something, and they learned from that, and that's why they've started calling it 15-minute cities, and they make it sound like, oh, everything will be at your disposal and all that, and you can get to it within 15 minutes. And really, they just open prisons and all that, and that's why you're going to need ID cards and all that. You know what I mean? And if you try and walk past the invisible barrier, which is going to be like with 5G and 6G and all that, and if you've criticized the establishment and all of that, let's say they put 700 points there, and you've been criticizing, that drops like 50. That's half your points gone. That could mean you can't fly, you can't travel, you can't go to work and all that and so forth. And then if everybody else then criticizes you as well, you go to 0. You're deleted from the system. You don't have the right to have your own home. You don't have the right to go and get a job. Basically, society's killed you off. You know what I mean? Government started it, the establishment started it, and then society just finishes you off. And that's why I always believe in, not go along with the establishment and society. Sometimes you've got to do things on your own, and do things on an independent level, and make sure you've got a way of surviving outside the system of that. Because just letting government do it all means you're a fucking retard. You know what I mean? But anyway. Well, let's go straight on to the next one. So we finished that at 1 hour and 6 minutes with the UK. Yes, guys, I am writing it down so I know, if I decide to put the times in. That's what I gotta do, guys. My videos and all that. You know what I mean? Because I thought, it's time to get a community together. And that little QR code there, guys, is to my Discord, by the way. Let's move to the next one.
Subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.
In Springfield, they're eating.
So we are now starting on the US. So the UK was that, and now, you guys, you know what I mean? You saw what I was like with the UK one. It's now time for the US of A. From one slavery plantation to another. So we're at 1 hour and 7 minutes. Let's roll.
The dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today, we're counting down.
People are not going to like this, but Trump is a Zionist arsehole at the end of the day. He's a puppet. Just like Starmer is for the UK. He's a Zionist puppet. Both of them. They're both rent boys for the Zionists.
On our picks for the top 20 most ridiculous, absurd, and factually incorrect things said by U.S. politicians.
So we're going to play a game called Bushism or Not.
Number 20. I took the initiative in creating the internet. Al Gore. In a 1999 interview with CNN journalist Wolf Blitzer, almost U.S. President Al Gore stated that he took initiative in creating the internet.
I've traveled to every part of this country during the last
Fuck off. He didn't create the internet. You know what I mean? What a delusional piece of shit.
years. During my service in the United States Congress, I took the initiative in creating the internet.
This led to a firestorm of ridicule and controversy against Gore, who was widely misquoted as claiming to have invented the internet himself. It had never been Gore's intention to make that specific claim. He was simply trying to highlight various initiatives and policies he had been involved with that helped foster the right environment for the internet to grow. Gore's poor word choice left him ripe for the attack, however. Let this be a lesson to all you current or future politicians watching today. Phrasing matters.
They shared with me their expectations that it could very well grow into a much bigger thing than it was back in those days.
Number 19. My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated.
You know what I mean? What if that was crafted wording of him saying, I create the internet, in other words, see where our minds are at. Because if we all just went carried on, they might have gone, okay, Al Gore has just said create the internet, and then those behind the scenes within certain institutes, let's say. Right. Now he's said he created the internet, and we are now going to start getting people chipped and all of that, in a few years. And maybe we can try other things. But because we pushed back and said, hey, no, you didn't create the internet. Maybe they're like, oh, so we've got to be a bit, they're not dumb yet. They're not as dumb as we think they are. So we're going to have to be a little bit smarter. Because don't forget, around in the 90s as well, they were trying to push the BT soul catcher as well, which a police officer told me recently. I knew about the BT soul catcher in 2005 before the officer told me. And the reason why I know before the officer told me, because just over Christmas when I got arrested this year, December the 30th, 31st, I was there for like 30 odd hours, and run about that it was anyway. And we got talking, and we got talking about the C-19 jabs and all of that and so forth. And a lot of the officers in that station learned a lot. Some were like, but I was like, oh, you know what I mean? And this one, I said to him, here's something for you. He goes, okay, get your phone now. And he goes, yeah. Pull this up, BT Soul Catcher 2005. So he types it in and so forth. And the stuff I mentioned to him, and he looks at it, he goes, oh, there's an article here from the 90s as well. I said, read it to me. He said, what you just told me, it's actually in here. I went, I know. This is why when people try to say I'm a tinfoil and that, no. I'm only highlighting what's already out there. And he's like, oh. Yeah, so and we talked about other things as well. So when he got then what's his name there? They were mentioning about that he created the internet. This is what politicians are there. They are like scouts for for those who are really controlling from behind the scenes that you don't get to see, right? They're like scouts to see where the public are actually at. This is why it's no point voting for them. But all politicians, doesn't matter if you're thinking, this is a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't fucking matter. What you got to get in your head is you're public, and the politicians in front of you, it's just trying to see if you're a dumbass. Because they're mocking you all the time. That's why it's called democracy. To mock, I see. They're seeing you, and to mock you. Democracy. And yet people are still going, oh, I'm going to vote for my Democrat. I'm voting for my Republican. I'm voting for this. And these idiots are going, oh, you're a leftist. You're a right. You're a liberal lefty, or you're a far right winger, and all. And I'm going, you're a twat. You believe in the left and right divide. What's it doing? It's dividing the public up to easily be controlled, you fucking pricks. Get your head around it and get out of that game. Stop being divided into the left and right camps. Come on. Just be fucking human, for God's sake. Anyway. But let's carry on.
That it will tip over and capsize. Hank Johnson. On March 25, 2010, as is tradition, the House Armed Services Committee met to discuss the 2011 defense budget. The otherwise routine hearing had a moment of unusual ridiculousness while discussing the Guam military base. After giving a way too detailed report on the island's size, Georgia Representative Hank Johnson cited his worry that adding more military personnel would cause the island to, quote, tip over and capsize.
The whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
The admiral on the other side of the bench was quick to dispel that concern. After all, we live in...
Really? Really? Oh, fucking hell. And people go, hey, support the military. You know, people go into the military, they break them down just to follow orders without questioning, without thinking. I'm glad my dad stopped me from going in the military, despite he went in as a Marine. But but yeah, yeah. And despite I've met a lot of people from the military, I had a friend up in Portadillas who did 13 years in the army, and he said, I mean, you have got a sense of humor that those from his unit would have loved. I mean, but I said, yeah, but can you imagine me though? I probably wouldn't last because I do think for myself. I am very critical on many things. So yeah, it's a good job I didn't succeed getting into the military. Good job. And here's another thing as well. All you idiots out there, and I think some people in the military would agree with this. A lot of you that goes, oh, thank you for your service, thank you for your service and all that, you know, when those idiots go around that, you guys are idiots when you go, thank you for service. I have seen some military people, right, you know, when somebody goes, oh, thank you for service, I've seen a look at some people on the military guys' faces, and some ladies, where they've gone, they like look away, but yet they go, oh, thank you, and they walk away, you know what, when really I know, they're thinking, that person was just thank me for my fucking arsehole. Because it's like when I was on Spreaker.com and all that, and I had gone, I bought like a lot of pens with like, you know, boywales.com on it and so forth. And a family member of mine said, hey, you know, we know the Welsh Warriors, Welsh Warriors, and I said, oh, could we have like a lot of pens? You know, if we see them, we'll pass them on. And I went, okay, cool. You know what I mean, I don't mind. But I've always said on my show, I mean, it's good to have a defense in case an enemy comes to attack. That's fair enough. As long as we don't go out to attack, I like that. As long as we don't go and attack, we got defense. That's okay. But it's also down to us, the public, to inform ourselves, so then we can then inform our family. Don't forget, these guys, you know, in the military, female and male, are our family members. End of the day, their friends, family, and so forth, right? So we should be informed at all times. So then we can then pass the information on to our brothers, sisters, and all that, and so forth. Saying, hey, I just heard you're going out to this country and so forth. Have you been informed by this, by your commanders and all that? Because if you go out there, you're going to be duped and probably killed off and everything else. Could you please don't go? You know what I mean? So there should be a duality. Yes, they're going to go off and probably take on an enemy and so forth. But first, they got to know it's an enemy, because otherwise they could be going off to take somebody out that they've been told that's the enemy. That is actually not the enemy, but those who've told him that's the enemy could actually be the real enemy that they need to go and take out. You know what I mean? So, like, you know what I mean? So it's down to us to actually say, hey, I'm going to research into this, you know, and get the findings, get this, then pass it to our, you know, family members, friends, and say, hey, have you checked this out? And then that's how we can save our brothers and sisters from going to other countries and then causing grief and heartache to somebody else that doesn't deserve it. You know, in other words, we keep our family home. I mean, so that's why I always say it's a duality effect that we, you know what I mean, yes, they don't mind going out and defending and protecting and all that, but also at the same time, we, I mean, you know what I mean, we got to be informed. Our militant brothers and sisters got to be properly informed as well, because all the corporations, the politicians are doing is bullshitting our family members to go and kill people just for the sake of killing, so they can get the, you know what I mean, the oil and all of that and everything else, which I mean, I've always looked at it, if that was my child and all of that, and then some invader came out and killed my child and so on, I'd be furious. That's why I research. This is why I do this and say things maybe a lot of people don't want to hear, but they need to fucking hear it. Because think about it, think you're sitting there right now and so forth, and and somebody came in and blew your fucking brains out, your family wouldn't like it. So come on, grow the fuck up. And then you got people like him there going, all these people, if these extra people on the island would tip over. Fucking idiots.
World and not a Nickelodeon cartoon. Johnson's office later put out a statement that he was simply being humorous and metaphorical, but that was one joke that just didn't land.
We don't anticipate that.
No, it's
Number
sunk.
8.
Bad joke. Carry on.
The internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck, it's a series of tubes. Ted Stevens.
And again, the internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes.
Ted Stevens had a 40-year-long U.S. Senate career, defined by such highlights as a 2008 corruption.
Not exactly wrong, to be honest. He got like wires in like a tube shape sort of thing. He's not exactly wrong. But still stupid.
Scandal and a 2006 net neutrality speech. In that speech, he had been arguing against an amendment to ban providers from charging higher rates for faster internet. Stevens got a bit too colorful describing how the internet works. He clarified that the internet was in fact not a truck where you can dump things en masse, but rather a series of tubes that can apparently get clogged up like a rush hour freeway. The comment was widely mocked and derided, notably by Jon Stewart.
That language as well. I mean, it's been just talked about already. I mean, but for those in the wider audiences, the masses and all of that, the terminology is why they started calling it the highway and all of that and so forth. It was one of the ways of starting to say, hey, we're going to have to start getting people to have licenses, this, that, and all that to actually be on the internet. Not like you would, like with a car going onto the highway and all that, you need a driver's license and all of that. So that's how the terminologies then started coming about, that you need a digital passport and all of that to get onto the internet these days. You know what I mean? So they've always been looking away to control and, you know what I mean, see what we're up to. But then if we then turn around and say, hey, what you up to? In other words, the politicians and all that and so forth and everything else, they'll go, oh, no, you can't. Because they are the ones that are really up to freaky shit that we've, you know what I mean? I mean, a lot of us knew about the Epstein thing and all that before it got exposed and all that. And also you had people like from the Pilot Mash films, you know what I mean? Like Bill Maloney and all that going after the UK politicians before Epstein thing was ever, you know what I mean, popular as it is now, you know what I mean? And despite the Pizzagate stuff and all the other stuff. And you know what I mean, and plus you get the red rooms out there and much more that have now been exposed left, right, and centre. And so really, I mean, and I'm going to put it this way and all of that and so forth. This, you know, so in a way, you know what I mean, what he probably may not have seen it because, you know, sometimes these people are kept in the dark. They fed like tiny bits of information, but they don't get to see the whole plan, you know, just in case, you know, they go squealing to the public and all that, you know what I mean? But they, end of the day, they got stuff on them, you know, to stop them squealing anyway. So you then got to look at it this way. The online privacy, as a lot of us have spoken about already, it isn't to keep children safe or nothing like that. You know what I mean? It's actually the PDF's clever way of actually getting information on your children. So when you're speaking then about the internet and all of that now these days with the digital passports and all of that coming through and so forth, and them asking, oh, we need to see your identifications and all that. Me, I've always thought the internet should always be for people that are 18 and up. I've always thought the internet should always be that 18 and plus. I mean, if you want to sort of like play computer games without being over the internet with your family members that are nieces and nephews, then you go round and you have a LAN party sort of thing, and you do it that way, okay? But what they do with this, by them knowing children now are being hooked with this online gaming and all that and so forth, they know that children are going to be nagging the parents or guardian or whoever's looking after them. Because saying, you know, I mean, you know, my man's going to be playing the latest Call of Duty game or whatever, and we're going to be going on, and they're going to be nagging to the point where then the child then is going to be handing over the facial details, how old they are, where they're living, all this sort of things. And then, as we've seen with the Epstein things, the establishment cannot be trusted. Yeah, I mean, because of the PDF nature. So then you're going to have a system, and the secret agencies, you know, I mean, that also got PDFs within, are going to know where these kids are at, what they look like, and so forth. And it's going to be like a banquet menu for them. Say, oh, this person, you know, it's going to be like this. I haven't written anything on this, so let's just say, I have Athena. Sorry, only one word. You know, Athena AI. Anyway, so they're going to be like, oh, right, that one's got blonde hair, blue eyes. I might go for vanilla today, you know, and then they write down, you know, they'll send off, could you please go and get the vanilla down on so-and-so street and so forth, and then that kid then will be picked up and gone by certain people working for certain groups, you know what I mean, within authorities, you know what I mean. The online bill isn't there to protect kids, it's there to get the information and see if they're compatible for let's say an Epstein restaurant night. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because they've used words like pizza, cake, or Pepsi, and all of that so forth. So yeah, we've got to be careful, guys. We've got to be very careful and all of that. You know what I mean? We just go along what these fuckers want us to sign on to, when really it's actually helping the fucking PDFs, what they're rolling out, than what we the public think. You know what I mean? Be careful, guys. You know what I mean? Help us to expose these bastards. Anyway.
If only there was some worldwide tool Stevens could have used to look up a better description of the internet.
I look only forward, and I still see the day when I can remove the cloud that currently surrounds me.
Number 17. Stand up, Chuck. Let 'em see you. Joe Biden. In the year 2000, Eminem asked the real Slim Shady to please stand up. 8 years later, at a campaign event, Joe Biden asked Missouri State Senator Chuck Graham to do the same.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
The only problem was that Graham required a wheelchair due to his paralysis, so standing up wasn't really an option. Biden realized his mistake and awkwardly tried to pivot away from his gaffe, asking everyone else.
That's not a mistake, guys. That's what the establishment and all of them are really like, and the royals are really like. I mean, just look at the Queen. You know what I mean? Queen Elizabeth II. You know what I mean? As many of us know, the royal family have got deformed family members locked away, not for us to see. Yeah, they always poking fun at the disabled and all that. So yeah, wasn't oopsies, it was legit.
To stand up instead. Thankfully, enough people obliged that Biden was able to apologize, and the incident passed with some self-deprecation and little additional fanfare.
I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much.
Number 16. There is no Soviet domination of Eastern Europe, and there never will be under a Ford administration. Gerald Ford. You have 3 choices when asked a question during a presidential debate. You can give a right answer, a wrong answer, or just plain confuse everyone. Gerald Ford chose the latter when asked about Soviet domination in Eastern Europe in the second 1976 presidential debate.
There is no Soviet domination of Eastern Europe, and there never will be under a Ford administration.
His incredible response that there was none forced the moderator to ask him again. Ford doubled down, insisting there would be no Soviet domination during his presidency, using specific countries as examples. It's interesting to note that Ford likely wasn't so much...
when you've got Zionism, like AIPAC, not controlling you. Maybe it wasn't back then, but Definitely in recent times. Just saying.
Wrong as simply belting out U.S. foreign policy, which refused to acknowledge the Soviet Empire and insisted every nation was independent. Unfortunately for him, though, most people didn't catch that subtle distinction, and he ultimately lost the election.
Did I understand you to say, sir, that the Russians are not using Eastern Europe as their own sphere of influence and occupying most of the countries there? And
Number 15. It depends on what the meaning of the word is. Bill Clinton. The Clinton-Lewinsky scandal first broke in 1998 and quickly dominated media headlines. A few days after the initial reports, Clinton gave the now infamous press conference where he categorically denied having any relationship with Monica Lewinsky.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
During his grand testimony hearing, he was asked about statements made by his attorney denying his relationship with Lewinsky. Clinton stated that the veracity of those statements really depends on what the word is means.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
This
is. Hold on a second, ladies and gentlemen. Is also ISIS as well, don't you know what I mean? But as you know, I mean, a percentage of us in the research community also started looking into Monica Lewinsky as being a Israeli asset as well. So let me just try something. I'm going to say Mossad, but by here, guys, according to the AI, it says allegations that Monica Lewinsky was an asset for. Check some. Yep, I'll go into my browser. That one, thank you. We do this. One. Welcome to on the fly stuff, guys. Shut down, not visible. Right, so I'm going. Not a problem. Not a problem. I'll tell you why it's not a problem. This is what you gotta do on the fly. You gotta think. You know, when something pops up, go for. Oh. But yeah, I mean, because like many people were saying that we came with Monica Lewinsky that she was set in remove Bill Clinton because he wasn't following one of the agendas and all that, and so brought her in through a sex scandal to move him over. Account new. I hate that. Yeah, I mean, load up a software and it's going not responding. Where and the yep. Any color will do. Okay, that'll do. Oh god, if you guys could see what I'm doing right now. Right, back. Thank you. Export that. Don't save it. Yep, don't need it. Got a copy for that now. All right, we're gonna bring in now a blank. Image. Unload when we don't need it. There you go. Right, as you guys can see there, you know what I mean? Where I talked about allegations, Monica Lewinsky's, but you know what I mean? Was not set for, they say, for Israel stem from conspiracy theories. I just love it how they think the conspiracy theories is going to stop everybody from using their brain to go and check things out. But that's what word has become. It's become a word or a phrase, a phrase to basically get people to stop thinking and checking for themselves. And because the only way you get to know stuff is by checking for yourself, and then can be critical of your governments because you then have learned to find things and then be knowledgeable on. By saying, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, and we tell a lot of people go, switch off, go back to eating a burger, or go back to doing whatever that doesn't resort in thinking. But anyway, so yeah, and like Netanyahu said to have offered Lewinsky tips for Pollard. Yeah, I mean, like different things like that, you know, and that's come from the times of Israel, by the way, back in, you know, but when was this? Was this like 98? That, or has it just recently come out? 2014. Yeah, oh, that's interesting. So, like, yeah, it says new critical book on the Clinton. Piss off. Yeah. I think you guys know my Control Alt. There you go. Online. Going to signing in. Sign into this. All right. Create a document. I need to sign in with my email or not. Probably would have to now. This is supposed to just be like just a video and trouble is it's triggering a lot of information that I do know, as well as my brain's going go across and get a pressure of that as well. Password. Pizzagate. No, okay. Oh. Now, on a passkey, only idiots create passkey. And if you have a passkey and it's digital, then AI can then stuff about you about it. Which, as we've already seen, one person, did everything digitally, and then all of a sudden AI got in and started doing creepy shit. Bobby? I say we'll go back to here. Copy. Allow me to okay. Yeah, we want to go. So, according to this, the critical book on the Clinton family claims that Israel tapped White House phones, blackmailed president with recordings of Israel attempt. We missed a bit. Recordings of intern. Israel attempted to use tapes of the former U.S. President Bill Clinton's steamy conversations with intern. Yeah, that's the Israel bit I know about. And the release of Jonathan Paul had a new book on the Clinton's family. Yeah. But Israel does that a lot, to keep America under its thumb. Yeah. And on top of that, well, as many have said, because Israel have been like, hey, we would tell America this, and then all of a sudden, as we see with the Benjamin Netanyahu videos before 9/11, where he talks about creating a lot of fear, and what happened? Yeah, Israel. Took out the Twin Towers. Anyway, let's keep going, shall we?
Own Biles-worthy feat of verbal gymnastics wasn't even Clinton's only attempt to use semantics in his favor as he tried to dodge the consequences. While Clinton's presidency is largely viewed in a positive light, the scandal remains a significant part of his legacy. Number 14, as Putin rears his head.
YouTube. How's it going, dudes?
Comes into the airspace of the United States of America, Sarah Palin.
You've cited Alaska's proximity to Russia as part of your foreign policy experience. What did you mean by that?
Sarah Palin dramatically rose to the national stage when she was selected to be John McCain's running mate in the 2008 U.S. presidential elections. While her selection was initially certified fresh, Palin soon began to get called out for her apparent inexperience. To combat this, she tried to bolster her foreign policy credentials by citing Russia's proximity to Alaska. Palin further emphasized this point in an interview with Katie Couric by describing how Alaska is Putin's target as he rears his head and enters U.S. airspace. It was a statement that did absolutely nothing but give people an absurd image of Putin as a dragon getting out of bed in the morning.
When you consider even national security issues with Russia, as Putin rears his head and comes into the airspace of the United States of America.
Number 13, binders full of women, Mitt Romney.
I went to a number of women's groups and said, can you help us find folks? And they brought us whole binders full of women.
There are plenty of good ways to highlight the gender pay gap. And then there's what Mitt Romney said in the second 2012 presidential debate. When asked a question on pay equity for women, the Massachusetts governor described receiving, quote, whole binders full of women while trying to fill his cabinet. Romney had managed to somehow take a topic as dull as resume files and sound like a sleazy talent.
Quick news flash. I've just gone on to a supermarket's website. The prices are going up for delivery, by the way, guys. Just to give you guys a heads up. It's now getting to the point of £7 to £8 delivery. Yeah. These men know what. Come on, then. Yeah, guys. I'm like, I got my phone there, I got my laptop there, and I'm just like, yeah. But yeah, so it looks like So yeah, looks like the prices are going up. So, and the thing is, I've got like next week's delivery booked in. You know what I mean, which is going to cost me £2.50. You know what I mean? It's like on the last day of next week, you know, like, and it's in like the final hours sort of thing. You know what I mean? At night, you know what I mean? So I'm like squeezing in, like, yeah, I'll have this one. But yeah, I mean, I do the flexi thing as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, because I'm going to be here anyway. You know what I mean? You're chilling, researching, and speaking. And what I tend to do as well, I order something. You know what I mean? Get that like one item. I mean, because they tend to rush you. You know what I mean? So I put like an item in, and then you can't do this with Asda. You know what I mean? I've noticed once you've put an item in and so forth and you order it, that's it, locked in. You can't do it. But with that one, I mean, you can. You know, so I put an item in, and then I come back to. You know what I mean, I make sure I get that date, and I come back in later once I finally what I want. But anyway, I thought I'd bring it up, guys. In the UK, the delivery charges are going up, and what the people in the companies, these supermarkets, don't realize as well. Yeah, I mean, which I should do a video on this actually. They're going to be putting themselves out of business by raising the prices up so high and all of that. It's going to get to the point nobody's going to be able to buy anything, and then all of those people working there are going to be out of a job. You know what I mean? So where then are people going to buy the food from? And that's the whole point of the Great Reset: to price people out from being able to buy anything. Anyway, let's continue.
Scout looking for America's next top model. The quote went viral, garnering significant attention from the media, becoming a meme, and putting Romney on blast for his supposed misogyny. It certainly didn't help matters when Obama added the quote to his campaign arsenal.
Little did he know, that very second, memes started popping up of binder full of women on the internet.
Number 12. Life is indeed precious, and I believe the death penalty helps to affirm that fact. Ed Koch.
You're, of course, against the death penalty. No, I'm for the death penalty. She screamed. Honest to God, she screamed.
They say if you love something, let it go. A philosophy former New York City Mayor Ed Koch clearly embraced when he pontificated that the death penalty helps affirm the preciousness of life. This oxymoron was included in...
But the thing is, when you're in charge of something and all that, you think death penalty will never come onto you. But think of it this way, right? What if you've got a group of people, you know what I mean, that's controlling the system and all of that, and they want people to forget that there was any level of free thinking, where you could criticize governments and all of that and so forth, but yet you've got a group of people that are free thinkers and all of that and so on, right? And you're the type of people that are always saying, hey, you know what I mean, leave my children alone and all of that and so forth, but yet let's say you got like PDFs running the show and all of that, and the death penalty then could be used on those that are against PDFs. You know what I mean? You got to be careful. You know what I mean? On just saying, oh, just bring the death penalty in. Me, I would love the wood chipper to be used on PDFs all the time, but also because you got people that are always slandering, false allegations and all so forth, we may get falsely accuse someone being a PDF, and then you find out later that they were not a PDF. Reason why, I mean, I can think like that because there was somebody in my local neck of the woods in Pontillas. This guy, he was falsely accused of being a PDF and all of that and so forth. But if we went down the death penalty route, he would have been killed and all of that. Then later on, people would have found out, oh, he wasn't one. Because there's people in the area, they were calling him a PDF because they just wanted his home. They just wanted his property, you know what I mean? And myself and others were witnesses in that trial, and we got him off. It's because the guy, he was with me for many hours of the day, he was with somebody else for many hours of the day, and so forth. So when you factor in all the times and all of that he wasn't even near the child and all of that, and by the time he got home, and and he was also in the store up at 9:45. I've talked about this before. Basically, you gotta watch out for people. Sometimes they just can not like you and call you things. Well, see, so basically, we gotta make sure that the term PDF stays strong. In other words, we gotta make sure if you are gonna accuse somebody of it, make sure that they are a PDF, basically. Because otherwise, if a child comes forth and they have been abused by an adult, then we don't have people going, oh, yeah, oh, whatever, kid, go away. You know what I mean? Because you got so many people that are using the term PDF falsely, and they've diluted it. They've actually diluted that on so many levels, and I've had to keep saying to people, hey, no, we've got to keep that genuine, because when we have a genuine case comes forth, we are going to ignore it otherwise. And a lot of people are like going, oh, I didn't realize. I think, yeah, that's the problem. A lot of you don't fucking realize. You know what I mean? It's like what happened to me when I was a kid and so forth. Yeah, I mean, and I tried getting help and all of that, and because it got used so much, I got a lot of kids around me were going, "Oh, that person's PDF and all that." So, what happened to me when I was 13 years old? Yeah, there was no point in me coming out because they would just thought just another kid just saying it. So I speak out. I mean that's why I speak out strongly, guys. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. And the police were fucking idiots even back then. Anyway. Just saying. But let's continue.
In a 1985 essay by Koch, published in the New...
Me? I would always say, I mean, wood chipper the fuckers, but I mean, but I can see things from both sides. I mean.
Koch's main argument in favor of this assertion was that the death penalty would deter those planning to kill or commit other violent crimes. The argument falls flat when you consider that most criminals aren't really planning on getting caught, or may be equally deterred by alternate penalties.
So that distinguished me from a lot of liberals and reformers, because that issue was considered to be a right-wing issue.
Number 11. If Lincoln were alive today, he'd roll over in his grave. Gerald Ford.
That the attention of the President, the Congress, and the American people would have been diverted from the problems that we have to solve. And that was the principal reason for my granting of the pardon.
Gerald Ford's presidency got off to a rough start in September 1974 when he granted Richard Nixon a full pardon following the Watergate scandal. He then stumbled into a reputation for clumsiness and was an early and regular target of Saturday Night Live. Among his many slips, trips, and gaffes was the declaration that if Abraham Lincoln were alive today, he'd be turning over in his grave at the status of current affairs.
Let's take a look at the recent popularity polls, shall we?
This butchering of a classic punchline serves as a prime example of someone speaking faster than their brain works. Or perhaps Ford had thought Lincoln enjoyed rolling around in empty coffins during his leisure time between Gettysburg Address preparation sessions and trips to the Top Hat store. Number 10. Every month that we do not have an economic recovery package, 500 million Americans lose their jobs. Nancy Pelosi. It's not unusual for politicians to slightly bend the truth or employ hyperbole to pass legislation or enact policy. Nancy Pelosi, however, took...
And notice how people always like to make excuses for politicians, or they bend the truth, or this, that, and so forth. No, they lie. Just quite forward, they lie.
To to another level when she claimed in early 2009 that 500 million Americans would lose their jobs every month if Obama's stimulus package is not passed. Given that the total U.S. population at the time, including children, was just over 300 million, we're fairly certain Pelosi momentarily forgot how math works. Even taking her statement global, the entire world would find itself out of a job in about a year. But given that this was Nancy Pelosi, maybe the bill just had to pass for us to understand her unique logic.
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Number 9. The Holocaust was an
I
obscene
don't
period.
like that way of thinking. If you guys have heard me on Spreaker and so forth, and I've talked about what if a law came in and said it kills all your children. Yeah, I mean, and then her way of thinking. Oh. Yeah, I mean, it's like something popped on my phone in. Basically, if I mean, they say, oh, you just got to find out what this law entails by just letting us pass it. That would mean the public would have consented for all the children to be killed. No. Yeah, I mean, I've always stand on the ground of I mean, I've always like to know the information first. Yeah, I mean, and as we always know, governments are always, trying to encroach and take away our privacy, always trying to take away our rights and all that. Well, they can't take away; they can only suppress. But it's down to us to make sure. Yeah, I mean, it's down to us to make sure that they don't take away our rights in the first place. You know what I mean? Or suppress them and all of that. So, and also see what the law actually says. Doesn't matter if the law is in place or not. If it's there to cause harm and all of that, it's void anyway. You know what I mean? So, because they are not trying to do the right thing.
In our nation's history, Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle's vice presidency is largely defined not by any policy or initiative he spearheaded, but by the cornucopia of bizarre statements he made while in office. One of his most confounding statements, however, came when he referenced the Holocaust in 1988, calling it the most obscene period in American history.
It was an obscene period in our nation's history. No, not our nation's, but in World War II.
Quayle attempted to correct this snafu, but only dug himself deeper as he discussed World War II and this century, where he may or
Let me check on something. Another country's name has just popped in, and it's not Israel. Let me just check on this. God, I think he was letting out a certain extra information the public should. The internet is saying to me, right? Oh, we did not cause the one in Germany. I went on about that one. I don't know about something else. Because one of the things I noticed that and I know the United States actions concerning Japanese people during World War, there was a incarceration of the Japanese Americans and the destructive air campaigns and all that and so forth. I'm looking into other things as well, because there isn't just one Holocaust in history. There's multiple Holocausts. I mean, there's a Holocaust also in Africa with the Tutsis and all of that, and so as well as other things. While those in Israel who try to call themselves Jews try to think that they the only Holocaust, when a Israeli girl said, I mean, there's other real Holocaust unlike the one in Nazi Germany, and I was like, hello, hello. So, but yeah. So I'm just wondering. I'm gonna have to dig into that a lot more and all of that. But yeah, so let's continue, eh?
Or may not have lived. Quayle concludes this epic monologue by defining the term Hitlerism, which sounds like a term he created. What do you expect from the man who once fixed a student's already correct spelling of the word potato?
Add one little bit on the end. Just think of potato. How's it? So, you write phonetically. What else? There you go.
Number 8. Trees cause more pollution than automobiles. Ronald Reagan.
But I'm proud of having been one of the first to recognize that states and the federal government have a duty to protect our natural resources from the damaging effects of pollution that can accompany industrial development.
If there's one thing Ronald Reagan was a fan of during his presidency, it was deregulation. The former governor of California gutted federal regulation for numerous sectors, including the environment. To promote anti-environmental policy, Reagan even claimed in 1981 that trees are responsible for more pollution than automobiles. This comment was widely mocked by critics, who joked about the presence of killer trees, which surprisingly did not become the title of a Stephen King novel. To be clear, research has shown that some trees do release organic hydrocarbons that contribute to air pollution. However, saying they pollute more than cars is misleading and ignores all the good trees do for the environment.
As I said, our progress on protecting the environment is one of the best-kept secrets in Washington, but it's not by far the only secret, and I'll have more on that.
Number 7. I've been in 57 states. I think one left to go. Barack Obama. Many politicians are known for being highly skilled and charismatic orators, including Barack Obama, who often gave memorable and captivating speeches. Unfortunately, he doesn't always get it right. During a 2008 Oregon campaign rally, when he was first running for president, Obama described how he had been all over the country, having apparently visited 57...
That thing there when Ronald Reagan was talking about with the trees and all of that, that's around about the same time with the Club of Rome, trying to make mankind the enemy towards the earth and all that and stuff like that, and trying to bring in the falsehoods of climate change and everything. You know what I mean? Which is being rammed down our throats for so long. You know what I mean? When since the 1960s, I mean, these institutions behind the scenes, not the public, but these institutions behind the scenes, have been doing geoengineering the planet and all of that through spraying the atmosphere on so many different levels and so many different chemicals of, like the chemtrails, as also Agent Orange and all. So much stuff that they've done, and yet they're blaming the public, which we don't have access to all this. But yet they have been doing these agendas on so many levels to create scarcity on the planet and all of that to control life and everything else. So yeah, we need to make sure we get informed. Otherwise, we're gonna see increase of aluminium, go up and up. As we've seen, for many just in the last 10 or 15 years. You know what I mean? And then we're wondering why people then are having amnesia levels go up and much more. I mean, so yeah, we need to get informed people. I mean, as well as the strontium and all that other stuff. And then, I mean, the reason why they want to take away things through climate change and all of that, because then they're creating scarcity. They then can increase prices like we've now seen in supermarkets and all that, because they think by increasing prices, profits are going to go up. They're not. Because if you're killing people off, you're going to have fewer people then are going to, which they've done through the C-19 jabs, killed people off, and then so you got a lower intake of income coming in. I mean, what you should be doing is let populations go up. So you have more people then that will come in to buy stuff on lower prices, which will make up then the higher profits you want. But you don't do that, do you? You think by killing people off, by creating scarcity, it makes something more rare. You think you're going to increase profits that way? No. It's going to get to the point, that way of thinking, it's going to be so finite, you're going to lose profits eventually. But anyway.
Dave.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go.
Yeah, you heard that right. 57 states. But wait, it gets worse, because it seems he still had one to go and had not visited either Hawaii or Alaska. It was later suggested that he meant to say 47, but we're just going to pretend that he included the great states of Narnia, Westeros, and Middle-earth in his count.
And over the last 15 months, we've traveled to every corner of the United States.
Number 6. The female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down. William Todd Aiken. Abortion has always been a divisive issue, with people often not afraid to express and fiercely defend their views. One such view came from former Missouri Representative William Todd Aiken, a known abortion critic. In a 2012 JACO Report interview, he gave the startling view that the female body is capable of automatically terminating pregnancies after legitimate sexual assaults.
The female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down.
The backlash was immediate, with many decrying the statement as both highly insulting and very scientifically inaccurate. Aiken was also heavily criticized for his use of the word legitimate to describe sexual assault, as if to question the veracity of some survivors. While he initially apologized for his remarks, he later walked the apology back after losing the 2012 Senate elections.
What I see is an
Hey, I've been through hell and back, in my life and all that and so forth. So there isn't any word that I will shine from. I've been called everything. So, let's rock and roll, shall we? For one, abortion and all that, it comes from feminism camps and all of that as well. You could also say the female Illuminati and so forth, the female Masonic lodges and all of that and so forth. Basically, want men and women to stay divided for one level. That's why they push in genocides and depopulation agendas. That's why they don't mind women going along down this route of abortions. They think women are free to do whatever they want and all that with their bodies and so forth. Women do think that. But what is actually done, I've heard some of you women, I've heard it from some of you women, because by Lord, have I grown up around women. Talking and all of that, and I've learned a lot from a young age. A lot. So I get it, and I've seen, at the age of 12 as well, the fatty tissues underneath and all that, and so forth. And so I don't like not when these blokes go around like over sexualizing and all that. If I'm in love with somebody, then of course, But anyway. What I've noticed, end of the day, what I've learned and all that, in some cases, when you have an abortion, it can become, there's like a loss of the void there and all that, despite you can still go off and do stuff and all that, because to a woman that sees a child as a strain and all that, and I get there are circumstances that you want to get rid of the child. One is, you've been attacked, and the attacker has basically had intercourse with you. They've had coitus with you without consent. So there is the logical reason to a lady, if they want to get rid of that life, because it will remind them of the attacker. But here's the thing. Your memories will always remind you of the attacker. No matter what you do, will always remind you of the attacker. And then on top of that as well, yes, I get it. What if the child grows up and shows you, facial features of that child? So, therefore, in your mind, you want to get rid of life and all that, despite it does say in the Bible and also in law, do not commit murder. So, and then you've got to ask yourself, what level then, to the point of when is it murder? That is the ethical question. I think a lot of us are arguing. You got the neo-feminists and all that and so forth will argue my body, my choice and all that. They get very aggressive over it and stuff like that. Which I will 100% agree with them. It is their body, their choice and all of that. If they want to do that, but they would have to also take on board, they've got to take on the full consequence of that action. And instead of blaming others all the time and so forth, which eventually becomes toxic, becomes bitter, becomes twisted to the point you may harm others without realizing you went down that path. And maybe you sort of thought, right, my body, my choice and all that and so forth. But where was that distinction when it came to the C-19? That's it. So, but you also say to yourself, if all life is divine, because don't forget, you're saying your body, your choice. So are you saying also your life is divine and all of that and so forth, and therefore, if all life then is supposed to be divine, then why didn't you let that child grow and become part of this world? And that child may be an example to do something great in this world. But we will never know if that child will end up being the next tyrant or the next innovator on bringing something good to this world. Well, we'll never know now. You know what I mean? And yes, if that child was born, into this world, would they then have hang-ups when they find out that the attacker basically was an SA? You know what I mean? And also, not all SA are male. Sometimes females can be the SAs. It's not just one side. You know what I mean? And we do have some women that do love going around and having a lot of sex and all that and so forth. And then they just abort children left, right, and centre from the womb. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ethical questions we've got to look at and so forth. You know what I mean? In the day, I'll always fully agree. It's your body. You do whatever you want with it. Same as it's like my body. I do whatever I want with it and so forth. As long as as long there is no harm to others or to myself. And you should be thinking the same. You know what I mean? Yeah, your body, your choice, but also you should not be causing harm to yourself or others. Well, you know what I mean? So there's that as well. Yeah, there are going to be people that will just go and cause harm to you, me, and all that. They'll try their best and all that, but then we shouldn't take that out on something as innocent as a life that hasn't had a chance to come into this world yet. Just saying. You know what I mean? Because otherwise we'll be doing the jobs for the World Economic Forum and all of them, and Bill Gates and many, many more, who see the pill and all of that as depopulation tools to lower the population for the status quo, the male and female Freemasons, Illuminatis and all that. So when I see these groups, these women are saying my body, my choice, you don't realize you are actually playing into the hands of other women as well as men in the Illuminati groups of a depopulation agenda. There's that as well. You know what I mean? I'm not pro-life and I'm not anti-life. But, you know what I mean? I do go on the side of think before you act. Know the truth before just rushing off and going, my body, my choice, and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Because a lot of these slogans, Black Lives Matter, my body, my choice, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know, being a Furby and all of that comes from the very group of people, the small group of people that meet up at the World Economic Forum, the TED Talks and all of that, are all the same group of people that are trying to enslave mankind further and further and further and keep the populations lower and lower and lower. And they roll out agendas now of the C19 / the new transhumanism world. So if you're saying your body, your choice, where were you then when with all this spraying of the geoengineering with the nanotubes and the strontium and all this and barium being into your body, the chemicals in the food supply and much, much more. So really, you're so much into abortion, you're actually going along with a system that's got so much chemicals in the food and around us to abort you and me and everybody else every day. So much for your body, your choice.
Irresponsible claim that you're trying to take what one man said that is completely indefensible.
Number 5. I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully. George W. Bush.
Did you say, I know that human being and fish can coexist peacefully?
An important part of the U.S. president's job is to better inspire their citizens, to help them believe they can achieve their full potential and do great things. During a September 2000 campaign event, George W. Bush tried to show America he could rise to that task while still practicing good governance. While discussing his energy policies, Bush passionately proclaimed his belief that humans and marine animals can live side by side in peace and harmony. That may not be entirely realistic, given the almost 9 billion pounds of shrimp people consume annually, but it's always good to dream. With all due respect to Bush, though, if peaceful human-fish coexistence is how we get the deep, then he can keep it.
That is?
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Absolutely correct.
Number 4, we've got to stand with our
guy that lied to America and the world over 9/11. And then took America into a war out in the Middle East and all that with Tony Blair, the poodle. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people take the piss out of, you know, Georgie Poos and what you call it, you know, Poodle Boy, as in Tony Blair, Poodle Boy. That is like saying, you know, I mean, for people to live peacefully together with fish and all of that, as you would saying a PDF can be a good babysitter. Doesn't go. So when you've got that going on where, you know, I mean, as we know, the Bush family is related with royal families and all that and everything else, and they're all about mocking the public and also killing the public as best they can. And as we all also know that Israel caused 9/11 and stuff like that, but yet he blames somebody else for it. So how can he just sit there and say, oh, yeah, well, humanity can live in peace when he's also been part of trying to, you know, he's gone along with murdering humanity. What, you know, I mean, what a hypocrite! And the Bible warns us of hypocrites. Just saying.
North Korean allies, Sarah Palin. The early 2010s were filled with rumors about a Sarah Palin 2012 presidential run. During an interview with Glenn Beck around the same time, Palin was asked how she would handle rising tensions with North Korea. She concluded a long-winded answer involving sanctions with the statement that we must stand with our North Korean allies.
But obviously, got to stand with our North Korean allies. We're bound to by treaty.
They know how to keep tyranny going. You know what I mean? And America are learning of that to bring it into America.
Korea. Bound by, and
a statement that is 100% without a doubt factually accurate if you take out the word North and put in the word South instead. Beck quickly corrected her and the interview proceeded. While this was likely a simple slip of the tongue from Palin, it unleashed a bounty of criticism on her foreign policy inexperience and her 2008 troubles with their myriad SNL skits.
Really a slip of a tongue, or picking that, demographic area. So if where you can just go, yeah, it was a slip of a tongue, because South Korea, lovely city and all of that, and in the Football World Cup 2002, if I remember correctly, when the people were out partying and all of that and so forth, by the morning the streets were clean. Everybody, not this attitude we got in the West, just let the bin man collect it, or no, everybody out there cleaned up. Everybody, you know what I mean? It was awesome to see, Bernie. But yeah, I think Sarah Palin knew what she was doing. She did literally said North Korea because America has been going down that route for many years now. Just saying, same as Britain with this over CCTV. I took a laugh. Got all these CCTV cameras, and yet the immigrants get, the illegal immigrants slip through. What they got there? A CCTV camera version of Pokemon Go. Oh, there's a CCTV camera there. There's a CCTV camera. Right, in and out. Oh, way up. We're getting past it all. Yeah, right. The establishment is helping them left, right, and centre, as we know. To cause a civil war here soon, probably in the UK, like they trying to do in America. But anyway.
We're going to take every aspect of the crisis and look at it, and then we're going to ask ourselves, what would a maverick do in this situation? And then, we'll do that.
Kick your fucking ass while eating pie. That's what a maverick would do, while telling the truth. How you like them apples with the pie?
Number 3. When the president does it, that means it is not illegal. Richard Nixon. The Watergate scandal rocked the U.S. in the early 1970s.
No, it's unlawful, bitch.
With Nixon's resignation and pardon. Nixon had spent most of those tumultuous years maintaining his innocence and hindering investigations. In 1973, he vehemently announced to a room full of journalists that he was not a crook 6 months before he was required to pay over $400,000 in back taxes.
Whether or not their president is a crook, well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
During his 1977 interview with David Frost, Nixon was asked if the U.S. president had the authority to commit illegal acts in the nation's best interest. His reply that anything the president does is automatically not illegal perfectly encapsulated his arrogance while ignoring a key tenet of democracy.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal. By definition. Exactly.
If only that 2024 Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity had come 5 decades
Only
earlier.
If governments, got their power from the people.
Number 2. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women. George W. Bush. It's no secret that the U.S. healthcare system has a lot of issues, including high medical bills, trouble getting insurance, and a shortage of qualified doctors. George W. Bush addressed the latter issue during a Missouri rally in a way only he could. He lamented doctors leaving the profession and OBGYNs no longer able to, quote, practice their love with women.
Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
We're not entirely sure where Bush got this idea from, but we think it might have something to do with some rumors he heard on the internets. We have to give Bush credit, though. He's taken this quote and all his other famous
rumors on the internet. And the thing is, if you watch TV and listen to the mainstream radio quite a lot, you end up being a dumb fucker. I mean, you start having mind rot and all of that. And like a British journalist once said, you know what I mean? I mean, he went on to a radio station and all of that, and he's waiting for people to phone in, and he asked the question, why aren't people phoning in? And the other person turns around and says that we haven't told them how to think yet. And that's what you've got. You know, the masses are waiting to be told how to think and all that, you know, most of the time. And when you get somebody that doesn't need to be told how to think and all of that and so forth, and they know how to go about with their thought processes and all of that, that is when the government then turns around and says, you are a threat, because you are not waiting to be told. You're not waiting, you know what I mean, for the corrupt arseholes, the idiots, you know what I mean, on so many levels, to pass on the corruption onto you, and therefore then you just go along with the servitude for the system, for the plantation of the country and stuff like that. And then you have the slave master, you know what I mean, the politician, you know what I mean, Prime Minister is a slave master, same as the king, another form of slave master, and so on and so on, you know what I mean. And therefore, you know what I mean, we've got to ask ourselves the question, you know what I mean, why do we need people ruling over us? Why do we need, you know what I mean, if you are a Christian, and it says in the Bible, you know what I mean, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters. And yet, we got idiots going out to vote and then saying, oh, Jesus, oh, God. You know, when Jesus comes back and all of that, you know what I mean? He's not going to say, oh, I'm voting for your Republican Party, or I'm voting for your Democrat Party, or in Britain, keep voting for Plaid Cymru, or Labour, or Conservative, or wherever. And same in Australia and Scotland and all over the fucking place, right? He's going to turn around and say, hey, you either with them or me. Choose. Get with the program. Me, I don't vote.
Bushisms with humor and good spirit.
Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
That's me.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions. I think that gay marriage is something that should be between a man and a woman. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I have opinions of my own, strong opinions, but I don't always agree with them. George H.W. Bush. We did not have a terrorist attack on our country during President Bush's term. Dana Perino.
No, we did not have a terrorist attack on our country during President Bush's term. I hope they're not looking at this politically. I do think that we owe it to the American people to call it what it is.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional...
If it wasn't an attack, right? That's almost like saying, don't worry, inside job demolition. And just remember... Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it, fuck it. Yeah, I mean, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger there saying about the gays and all of that and so forth. But you know, with a gay political party, they'll always come through the back door. Just remember that one, okay?
Videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. Nearly everything out of his mouth. Donald Trump.
Silence of the Lambs. Has anyone ever seen the Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
In June 2015, Donald Trump made history when he rode down an escalator and announced that he was running for president. It wasn't his first public foray, but it launched an era of Trump that gave a whole new meaning to the words bizarre and insane. Whether it's letting UV light in the body, liking Taylor Swift's music 25% less, or just not wanting pronouns anymore, Trump's statements have defied all semblance of common sense and logic. He admires Hannibal Lecter and talks about getting the bad hombres out. His racist and misogynistic attacks have been aimed at numerous undeserving targets. Trump's aim is always to make America great again, but he will likely be remembered for the three-ring circus he left.
That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus.
Which of these sayings had you shaking your head the most? What other unbelievable or idiotic quote?
Donald Trump, or MAGA, that comes from Satanism. I mean, and so forth. Very interesting, isn't it, guys? Where we've got all that going on, eh? Yeah, if you pop on to a Saturnalia website, a Satanism website and stuff, you will see MAGA as a 5th level Mason site. I mean, so all you people that went along with MAGA on your heads, well done for being a satanic, piece of shit you are. I mean, and that doesn't mean the other party, is not a Satanist when all the political parties are going along with Satanism. So, happy voting in Satanism, bitches. So, that's why in the Bible it says Jesus is the only way. I mean, so get to know it. But on that note, guys, take care. Have a lovely day. And no political party is going to save you. You got to wake up and start saving yourself and go through Jesus. You know what I mean? End of the day. Take care for now. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely 6th of May. Like I said, also happy birthday to my cousin out there as well. It was my brother's birthday last week on the 29th. And then 3 days before that, was my nana's birthday on the 26th. And on that as well, on 26th, is my friend's birthday as well. Brian, if you're watching this out there, happy birthday to you as well. Also, my ex-fiance's mother's birthday was also on the 29th. Happy birthday to her as well. So, yeah. So, and then one of my friend's birthdays is coming up soon as well. So happy birthday to him as well. As well. So, thank God I got no money to buy presents. I'm joking. Bye now, guys. You guys take care. Bye for now.